You've been fasting for a few hours now, maybe longer. Your stomach growls loudly, almost demanding attention. You feel slightly tired, maybe a little lightheaded, and your energy is not what it usually is. You start questioning yourself. Is this normal? Is this safe? Is this actually doing anything? These questions are incredibly common, and they're also the reason most people quit fasting far too early. Modern society has trained us to interpret discomfort as danger. Hunger feels like an emergency. Fatigue feels like failure. Any deviation from constant comfort feels like something is wrong. But your body didn't evolve in grocery stores. It evolved in uncertainty. And the sensations you're feeling now are not errors. They're signals. One of the biggest misconceptions about the human body is the idea that hunger is a constant emergency that must be solved immediately. In reality, hunger is a hormonal signal, not a survival countdown. It's flexible, adaptable, and heavily influenced by habit. For decades, people have been told that skipping meals slows metabolism, damages the brain, or causes muscle loss. But these claims ignore human evolutionary biology entirely. If missing meals truly destroyed the body, humanity would not exist today. Our ancestors regularly went long stretches without food, not by choice, but by necessity. The human body evolved systems specifically designed to handle food scarcity. Fasting doesn't break those systems. It activates them. Before going deeper, this must be clear. This content is for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice. Fasting is not appropriate for everyone, especially those with medical conditions, eating disorders, or those who are pregnant or taking medications. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional before attempting any fasting protocol. With that said, understanding what your body is doing during fasting can dramatically change how you experience it. To understand why fasting feels the way it does, we need to look at the work of someone who spent decades studying it at the highest level. Dr. Mark Mattson is a neuroscientist who devoted over 25 years to researching how fasting affects the brain and body. He served as the chief of the Laboratory of Neurosciences at the National Institute on Aging and is recognized by the National Institutes of Health as one of the world's leading experts on intermittent fasting. In 2019, Dr. Mattson published a landmark paper in the New England Journal of Medicine. This is one of the most respected medical journals in the world. In that paper, he explained a fundamental concept that explains nearly every sensation you feel during fasting. He called it the metabolic switch. When you eat, your body primarily runs on glucose, sugar derived from carbohydrates. Some of that glucose is used immediately for energy, and the rest is stored in your liver and muscles as glycogen. Think of glycogen as a short-term energy backup, like a small battery. But this battery is limited. For most people, liver glycogen is depleted after roughly 10 to 12 hours without food. Once that reserve runs out, your body faces a choice: stop functioning or switch fuel sources. This is where the metabolic switch occurs. Instead of burning sugar, your body begins breaking down stored fat into molecules called ketones. These ketones become a powerful alternative fuel for your muscles and your brain. This shift is not a crisis, it's a built-in survival mechanism. And nearly every symptom people experience during fasting is connected to this switch. The average person eats constantly. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, sugary drinks, late-night bites. Because of this, their body never needs to switch fuel sources. It stays locked in sugar-burning mode indefinitely. Dr. Mattson explains that this constant feeding prevents the metabolic switch from ever turning on. The body never accesses fat-based energy systems. It never activates cellular repair pathways. It never experiences metabolic flexibility. Fasting forces the body to remember how to do what it evolved to do. Any major biological transition comes with temporary discomfort. When you switch fuel sources, your hormones shift. Your nervous system adjusts. Your brain recalibrates how it receives energy. This transition phase is often misinterpreted as danger. But it's actually adaptation. The key difference between harm and adaptation is duration and severity. Mild discomfort that comes and goes is normal. Severe symptoms that worsen or persist are not. Learning to tell the difference is essential. Now let us break down the specific signs, one by one, that indicate your fast is working as intended. SIGN number 1. Hunger comes in waves. Not a straight line. One of the first things people notice during fasting is that hunger behaves strangely. You expect it to build endlessly, getting worse with every passing hour. But instead, hunger rises sharply, and fades even if you don't eat. This happens because hunger is controlled by hormones, not by how empty your stomach is. One of the main hunger hormones spikes at times when you usually eat. If you normally eat lunch at noon, hunger peaks around noon. If dinner's at 7 p.m., hunger peaks then too. But here's the key point. After each spike, hunger decreases, regardless of whether you eat or not. Research tracking hunger hormones during extended fasting shows something surprising. Hunger does not continuously increase the longer you go without food. In fact, after about 14 hours of fasting, hunger hormones can be lower than earlier in the day. This means hunger is largely driven by routine, not necessity. Your body expects food at certain times because you've trained it to. When food doesn't arrive, the signal eventually shuts off. So if your hunger comes and goes instead of steadily increasing, that's a sign your body is functioning normally. The wave will pass. Normal hunger is uncomfortable but manageable. It feels like emptiness, cravings, or mental fixation on food. This is different from severe dizziness, shaking, confusion, or fainting. If you feel unable to function or symptoms persist intensely for more than 30 minutes, breaking the fast gently is the responsible choice. Fasting should challenge your comfort zone, not compromise your safety. Listening to your body is part of doing this correctly. SIGN number 2, a metallic or fruity taste in your breath. One of the clearest biochemical signs that your fast is working is a noticeable change in your breath. Many people describe it as metallic, sweet, or slightly fruity. While it may feel embarrassing or strange, it's actually direct evidence of fat metabolism. When your body breaks down fat, your liver produces ketones. One type of ketone, called acetone, exits the body through your breath. That smell is not random. It's a metabolic signature. It means your body has crossed the metabolic switch. Most people eat frequently enough that their bodies never produce significant ketones. Their metabolism stays locked into glucose-burning mode. Dr. Matson points out that this constant sugar reliance prevents metabolic flexibility. When you finally fast long enough to produce ketones, your breath becomes proof that your metabolism has shifted. This symptom often fades after a few days as your body becomes more efficient at using ketones. Drinking water helps, but covering it with sugary gum or mints can interrupt the fast. SIGN number 3. Feeling cold during a fast. Many people are surprised by how cold they feel during fasting. Hands and feet may become chilly. You may reach for a sweater even in warm environments. This happens for several reasons. First, digesting food produces heat, a process known as the thermic effect of food. When you stop eating, that heat production decreases. Second, insulin levels drop during fasting. Lower insulin signals the body to conserve energy. One way it does this is by reducing heat output. During fasting, blood flow is redirected away from the extremities and toward vital organs like the brain, heart, and liver. This ensures survival during food scarcity. From an evolutionary standpoint, this makes perfect sense. When food was scarce, conserving energy and protecting vital organs increased the chances of survival. Feeling cold doesn't mean something is wrong. It means your body has recognized the fast and adjusted its energy priorities. SIGN number 4. Initial fatigue that transforms into stable energy. One of the most misunderstood experiences during fasting is fatigue. In the early hours or first day, you may feel heavy, sluggish, or unmotivated. Your body feels like it's moving through resistance. Many people interpret this as proof that fasting is draining them. In reality, this phase is a temporary transition period. Your body is not failing. It is recalibrating. For years, it has relied almost exclusively on sugar for energy. Now that fuel source is gone, and the body is learning how to efficiently access stored fat instead. This adjustment phase is similar to switching engines while a plane is already in flight. When you eat carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises quickly. This gives a short burst of energy. But insulin soon pulls that sugar out of the bloodstream, causing blood sugar to fall. This rise and fall cycle happens multiple times a day for most people. That's why energy feels unpredictable. You feel awake after eating, then sleepy a few hours later. These repeated crashes are often mistaken for normal energy levels. During fasting, those sugar spikes disappear. Once your body begins relying on fat and ketones, energy delivery becomes steady. There are no dramatic peaks, but also no deep crashes. The result is stable, consistent energy. Ketones are an extremely efficient fuel source. Unlike glucose, which fluctuates rapidly, ketones provide a slow and steady release of energy. This is especially important for the brain, which requires a constant supply of fuel to function properly. Once ketone production increases, many people report that they no longer feel the midday slump. They don't need caffeine as desperately. Their energy feels calm rather than frantic. This shift often happens after the initial fatigue phase passes. That early tiredness is not the end state, it's the bridge. Crossing it is what allows the body to function differently. A common fear about fasting is muscle loss. People worry that not eating will cause the body to break down muscle tissue for fuel. But the body has protective systems designed to prevent this. One of the most important is growth hormone. Research shows that growth hormone levels increase dramatically during fasting, often 3 to 5 times higher than normal. Growth hormone helps preserve muscle mass while encouraging fat breakdown. It tells the body to protect lean tissue and use stored fat instead. This hormonal shift is not accidental. It's an evolutionary safeguard designed to keep humans strong during periods without food. Studies have shown that when growth hormone is blocked during fasting, muscle breakdown increases significantly. But when growth hormone functions normally, muscle tissue is largely preserved. This directly contradicts the idea that fasting automatically leads to muscle loss. The body prioritizes survival. Muscle is valuable for movement, hunting, and defense. Fat is stored energy. During fasting, the body intelligently chooses which tissue to use. That's why, when done correctly, fasting supports fat loss without sacrificing muscle. This is another sign that the discomfort during fasting does not mean damage. It means optimization. SIGN number 5. Brain fog that turns into mental clarity. In the early stages of fasting, concentration may feel difficult. Thoughts can feel slow, scattered, or foggy. This can be frustrating, especially if you expect fasting to improve mental performance immediately. But this fog is temporary. It happens because the brain is transitioning fuel sources. The brain typically runs on glucose. When glucose availability drops, the brain needs time to adjust. Once ketones become available, the fog often lifts, and what replaces it surprises many people. Mental clarity. Ketones cross the blood-brain barrier and provide a highly efficient fuel source for neurons. Unlike glucose, ketones produce fewer reactive byproducts, which means less oxidative stress in the brain. Many people report improved focus, longer attention spans, and sharper thinking once this transition completes. Tasks that once felt mentally draining become easier. Distractions lose their grip. This is not imagination, it's biochemistry. The brain was designed to function well in a fasted state because our ancestors needed mental sharpness when food was scarce. Fasting also increases the production of a powerful brain-supporting protein called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF supports the survival of existing neurons and encourages the growth of new neural connections. Higher BDNF levels are associated with improved learning, memory, and mood. This explains why many people feel mentally cleaner or more focused during fasting. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. Hunger needed to sharpen the mind, not dull it. A foggy brain would have meant death in a world without supermarkets. SIGN number 6. Hunger decreases after 20 to 24 hours. One of the most counterintuitive fasting experiences happens after about a full day without food. Instead of hunger getting worse, it often becomes quieter. Many people expect unbearable cravings, but what they feel instead is calm. This happens for several reasons. First, hunger hormones stop spiking once the body no longer expects food at specific times. Second, ketones themselves suppress appetite. Third, stable blood sugar removes the cycle of cravings triggered by sugar crashes. Hunger does not increase endlessly, it adapts. The idea that the body needs food every few hours is largely driven by habit and modern dietary patterns. Once the body recognizes that stored fat is providing reliable energy, the urgency to eat decreases. This is why extended fasts often feel easier after the first day than during it. The body stops panicking and starts trusting its fuel reserves. If hunger becomes quieter after pushing through the initial phase, it is a strong sign that the metabolic switch has fully engaged. SIGN number 7. Temporary skin changes. Some people notice minor skin changes during fasting, such as pimples or rashes. This can be alarming, especially if skin has been clear before. However, these changes are often temporary and related to internal processes. When stored fat is broken down, compounds that were previously trapped in fat cells are released into the bloodstream. The liver processes most of these compounds, but the skin can act as a secondary elimination route. This does not mean toxins are sweating out. It means the body is reorganizing internally. Fasting activates a process called autophagy. The word means self-eating, but what it really describes is cellular recycling. During autophagy, cells break down old, damaged components and reuse the raw materials to build healthier structures. This process is essential for cellular health and renewal. It typically increases significantly after 24 to 48 hours of fasting. During any deep cleaning process, there can be a temporary mess before things improve. Skin changes during this time are often a reflection of internal repair, not damage. SIGN number 8. Mood changes and emotional sensitivity. Mood changes are common during fasting, especially early on. You may feel irritable, restless, or emotionally sensitive. This does not mean fasting is harming your mental health. It means your nervous system is adjusting. During fasting, stress hormones such as cortisol increase slightly. This increases alertness and awareness. Norepinephrine also rises, sharpening focus but sometimes making emotions feel more intense. From an evolutionary standpoint, this response made humans more vigilant when food was scarce. It helped them act, not relax. As adaptation continues, mood typically stabilizes. Gentle movement, deep breathing, sunlight exposure, and hydration can help smooth this phase. Many people find that emotional awareness actually improves over time, allowing better regulation rather than reactivity. The key is recognizing that temporary emotional shifts are part of neurological adaptation, not failure. At this point, it becomes clear that none of the sensations experienced during fasting are random. Hunger waves, cold hands, early fatigue, shifting moods, brain fog that turns into clarity, and even temporary skin changes all follow a predictable biological pattern. These are not warning signs. They are indicators that the body is transitioning from constant feeding mode into adaptive survival mode. Each symptom represents a system adjusting its priorities. Energy is conserved. Repair mechanisms activate. Fuel sources change. The discomfort people fear is not damage. It is recalibration. Once this framework is understood, fasting stops feeling mysterious and starts feeling purposeful. The modern world has eliminated most forms of healthy stress. Temperature is controlled. Food is constant. Physical exertion is optional. Because of this, any form of biological stress feels abnormal. But the human body evolved under conditions of variability, not constant comfort. Fasting introduces a mild, controlled stressor. This stress signals the body to strengthen itself. Muscles preserve, cells repair, the brain sharpens. This concept is known as hormesis, the idea that small doses of stress make biological systems stronger. The problem is not fasting. The problem is unfamiliarity with discomfort. For most of human history, food scarcity was normal. Successful hunts were unpredictable. Seasonal shortages were unavoidable. Humans who could function well without food survived. Those who could not, didn't, during periods without food. The body needed to do three things well: conserve energy, protect muscle, and sharpen the brain. Fasting activates all three. Fat becomes the primary fuel. Growth hormone protects muscle tissue. Ketones fuel the brain more efficiently. What people experience during fasting is not a breakdown. It is an ancient program activating, one that modern life rarely allows to run. Constant eating keeps insulin elevated. Elevated insulin blocks fat burning. When fat cannot be accessed, the body becomes dependent on frequent food intake. This creates fragility rather than strength. When fasting is introduced, insulin drops. Fat burning resumes. Metabolic flexibility returns. The body regains the ability to switch between fuel sources. This flexibility is a marker of metabolic health. People who struggle most with fasting are often those whose bodies have been trapped in sugar dependence for the longest time. Difficulty does not mean incompatibility, it means deconditioning. The first exposure to fasting is often the hardest. Hunger feels intense, energy feels unstable, thoughts fixate on food. This happens because the body has forgotten how to burn fat efficiently. Fat metabolism is like a skill. If it's not used, it weakens. The first fast forces the body to relearn it. Each subsequent fast becomes easier because the metabolic machinery is already primed. This is why experienced fasters report less hunger, better energy, and clearer thinking. Their bodies remember the process. The discomfort decreases not because fasting becomes weaker, but because adaptation becomes stronger. Not all discomfort during fasting is physical. Some of it is psychological. Food is often used as stimulation, comfort, or distraction. Removing it exposes restlessness. When food is no longer available as an emotional regulator, thoughts and feelings surface more clearly. This can feel uncomfortable, but it is not harmful. In fact, many people find that fasting improves emotional awareness and discipline over time. Learning to sit with mild discomfort without immediately fixing it builds resilience. This mental training is one of the less discussed but most powerful effects of fasting. Most people quit fasting during the transition phase, right before adaptation occurs. They mistake temporary discomfort for failure and return to eating patterns that feel familiar but keep them metabolically stuck. If someone quits fasting during hunger waves, they never experience hunger suppression. If they quit during fatigue, they never reach stable energy. If they quit during brain fog, they never experience clarity. The benefits of fasting exist on the other side of adaptation. Stopping early prevents the body from completing the switch. While discomfort is normal, it is not a requirement to suffer. Fasting should challenge the body, not harm it. Severe dizziness, confusion, fainting, or prolonged weakness are signals to stop. Hydration is critical. Electrolyte balance matters. Gentle movement supports circulation. Rest supports adaptation. There is a difference between productive stress and excessive strain. Fasting is not about endurance at all costs. It is about allowing the body to operate the way it was designed to, intelligently and efficiently. In a world of constant stimulation and instant gratification, fasting feels unnatural. But biologically, constant eating is the abnormal behavior. Fasting restores a rhythm that existed long before modern food environments. This disconnect between biology and lifestyle creates confusion. People trust feelings more than physiology. But feelings are shaped by habit, not always by health. Once fasting is understood as a biological process rather than a test of willpower, the experience changes. Curiosity replaces fear. Awareness replaces anxiety. The metabolic switch is not just about fuel. It represents a shift from growth mode to repair mode. When food is abundant, the body prioritizes growth and storage. When food is absent, the body prioritizes maintenance and efficiency. Both states are necessary. Problems arise when one state dominates permanently. Constant feeding locks the body in storage mode. Strategic fasting restores balance. This is why intermittent fasting is often more sustainable than continuous calorie restriction. It works with biology rather than against it. Hunger waves mean hormones are adapting. Cold hands mean energy is being conserved. Fatigue means fuel sources are switching. Mental clarity means ketones are fueling the brain. Reduced appetite means fat metabolism is stable. Mood shifts mean the nervous system is adjusting. None of these signs mean failure. They mean the system is active. Reframing these sensations changes the experience entirely. What once felt alarming now feels informative. Fasting is not about one fast. It is about restoring metabolic flexibility over time. The body becomes more efficient with repetition. Symptoms lessen. Benefits compound. Many people report improved energy, better focus, reduced cravings, and improved relationship with food after consistent fasting practice. These outcomes are not instant. They are earned through adaptation. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Disclaimer: this video is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Fasting and dietary changes may not be appropriate for everyone. Individuals with medical conditions, metabolic disorders, eating disorders, low blood sugar, those who are pregnant or breastfeeding, or anyone taking prescription medications should consult a qualified healthcare professional before attempting fasting or making significant dietary changes. Always listen to your body and stop if you experience severe or concerning symptoms. The creators of this content are not responsible for any adverse effects resulting from the use or misuse of the information presented.